Okay, so get this. We're diving into transhumanism in education today.
Oh, wow.
It's kind of like, imagine if philosophy or religion were just like these brand new subjects being added to schools right now.
Yeah,
That's the kind of impact this could have.
absolutely.
It's massive.
Huge.
We're talking about literally shaping how future generations see what it means to be human.
Yeah. And what's really fascinating about this is it's not just like some far-off sci-fi fantasy anymore.
Right?
The technologies that are driving transhumanism, like gene editing, AI, brain-computer interfaces, all of that stuff,
It's happening.
it's being developed right now.
Yeah.
Today's kids are going to grow up in a world that's completely transformed by this.
Yeah. No flying cars yet, but who knows?
Exactly.
So for this deep dive, you sent over this proposed curriculum for teaching transhumanism.
I did.
And it's crazy. It covers everything from kindergarten to college.
All the way.
We're going to break down how it's structured, what the goals are,
Okay.
and, of course, explore why some people might be a little freaked out by the whole thing.
Sure, yeah. There are definitely going to be some people who have some questions.
For sure.
But the core idea here is that early education shapes our worldview.
Right?
It lays the foundation for how we see ourselves in the world.
Totally.
So the earlier we introduce these concepts,
Yeah.
the more naturally they become part of how these kids grow up thinking.
Makes sense. But one thing that really jumps out from this curriculum is this comparison that it makes between transhumanism and religion. It's arguing that both are trying to answer these big existential questions,
Yeah.
but from different angles.
Right. It's a fascinating parallel.
Yeah.
Religion often relies on faith and tradition,
Right.
whereas transhumanism is rooted in scientific principles and the potential for like tangible results.
Okay.
So it's not about replacing belief systems.
Right.
It's just acknowledging that both impact how we view our place in the universe.
I'm getting chills.
It is pretty mind-blowing.
But let's break this down a bit.
Okay.
This curriculum starts young,
Yeah,
like really young.
it does.
Primary school kids, age 5 to 11.
Right.
It seems like a lot to put on little ones who are still, like, figuring out long division.
Well, at that age, it's more about sparking curiosity and wonder.
Okay.
Think about it. Kids are naturally fascinated by their bodies and how things work.
Totally.
This curriculum taps into that
Yeah.
by teaching them to see their bodies as systems, almost like machines,
Right.
that can be understood and even improved upon.
So instead of just memorizing the names of, like, bones and muscles,
Right.
they're asking questions like, what if I could have super strength? Or what if we could live forever?
Exactly.
Oh.
They're also introduced to basic AI concepts and maybe even get to play with simple robots.
Oh, wow.
The goal is to make them comfortable with technology
Wow.
and start thinking about its potential to change what it means to be human.
Kids growing up seeing AI as a tool, not something to be scared of.
Exactly.
Huge shift in thinking.
Yeah.
Okay, so those little kids?
Yeah.
What about middle school?
Middle school,
Those preteens are a tough crowd.
they are a tough crowd.
And they're already obsessed with tech.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
What does transhumanism look like for them?
I think that's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
They're starting to understand complex systems and the idea of enhancement.
Yeah.
So the curriculum dives into the differences between biological enhancements,
Okay.
like using CRISPR to edit genes.
Hold on, CRISPR.
Yeah.
We should probably explain that one.
Oh, yeah, sure.
It's like a super precise tool that lets scientists edit genes, like cutting and pasting DNA.
Exactly.
It has incredible potential for curing diseases,
Yeah,
but also raises some serious ethical questions, right?
absolutely. And that's the key here.
Yeah.
It's not just about teaching the science, but prompting them to think about the implications.
Right.
Imagine a classroom of 13-year-olds debating the ethics of designer babies or arguing about the pros and cons of brain-computer interfaces.
That's heavy stuff for middle school.
It is heavy stuff.
But I can see how it would be super engaging.
For sure.
It's not just some abstract concept. It's about their future, their bodies, their lives.
And that's precisely the point.
Yeah.
It prepares them for a world where these technologies are becoming increasingly real.
Right.
By middle school, they're already using smartphones and social media.
Yeah, of course.
So this curriculum helps them understand the underlying forces that are shaping the tech they interact with every day.
Okay. I'm officially hooked.
Good.
Primary school is about sparking wonder.
Yes.
Middle school is about exploring enhancement.
Yeah.
High school. Well, that's got to be where they go full-on cyborg, right?
Not quite cyborgs, but high school definitely dives into the deep end.
Okay.
They tackle big questions like the nature of consciousness and identity in a world of advanced technology.
Whoa.
We're talking AI, sentience mind, uploading the stuff that makes you question what it even means to be human.
So it's like philosophy class meets sci-fi movie night, but with real-world consequences.
Exactly. And to ground it all in reality, they also get hands-on lab experience. It might be something like basic gene editing experiments or building simple neural interfaces.
Wow.
The goal is to make these concepts tangible
Right.
and show them that the science behind it is something that they can understand and even potentially contribute to.
So from wide-eyed wonder to tinkering with the building blocks of transhumanism,
That's the journey.
that's quite the educational journey.
It is.
But I have to ask, what about the teachers?
Oh, yeah. Good point.
Are we expecting every high school science teacher to suddenly become an expert in AI ethics and bioengineering?
That's a crucial point, and the curriculum acknowledges that teacher training is key.
Okay.
It suggests programs that focus on not just the science behind transhumanism,
Yeah,
but also the ethical, philosophical, societal implications.
got it.
It's about giving teachers the tools to facilitate those tough conversations and help students navigate these complex issues.
So teachers become more like guides, helping students form their own informed opinions rather than just lecturing about facts. I like that. But let's be real, not everyone is going to be thrilled about this idea of teaching transhumanism in schools.
No, I think you're right.
There are bound to be some strong opinions, maybe even some outright resistance.
Oh, absolutely.
What are some of the concerns that people might have?
That's where we'll pick up in part 2 of this deep dive.
Okay, cliffhanger.
We'll explore the potential objections to this curriculum, from religious concerns
Okay.
to fears about the appropriateness of these topics for young minds.
Got it.
And we'll dive into the counterarguments, examining how this type of education could actually equip students to navigate a future we can only begin to imagine.
Can't wait.
It's going to be good. Yeah, you're absolutely right. There are definitely going to be some raised eyebrows when parents hear about transhumanism being taught alongside algebra and history.
It's like, honey, did you remember to pack extra existential angst with Timmy's lunch today?
Well, maybe not that extreme, but I do think this is where the comparison to teaching evolution comes in.
Right, because that was controversial too back in the day.
Exactly. People worried it would clash with religious beliefs, that it was too complex for kids to grasp. But over time, as we understood more about genetics and the vastness of geologic time, it became a cornerstone of scientific education.
So maybe this is the same kind of turning point, where we're grappling with these mind-blowing concepts that challenge our understanding of what it means to be human.
And that's why having open and honest conversations about the potential objections is so important. Let's tackle the big one head on, the fear that transhumanism is somehow anti-religion or wants to replace spirituality with technology.
Yeah, I can see how some people might feel like we're stepping into playing God territory.
The curriculum actually addresses this directly. It argues that transhumanism doesn't have to negate religious beliefs, just as science and religion can coexist. Offering different ways of understanding the world, transhumanism can offer a complementary perspective.
It's not about erasing faith, but exploring the potential of human ingenuity alongside our spiritual beliefs, kind of like how we learn about the Big Bang in science class, but still ponder the mysteries of creation in our own way.
Precisely, the goal is to present a wider lens for understanding human potential, not to dictate what people should believe.
Okay, that makes sense, but what about the concern that these topics are just too much too soon? Like, are we going to traumatize a bunch of second graders by talking about cyborgs and mortality?
That's a valid concern, and the curriculum emphasizes age appropriateness. We're not going to be showing kindergarteners diagrams of brain implants. The early years focus on sparking curiosity and wonder, using stories, play, and basic concepts to lay the groundwork.
So picture this, instead of just reading The Very Hungry Caterpillar, kids are also reading stories about friendly robots or characters with super senses. It's about weaving these ideas into their world in a way that's both engaging and educational.
Exactly, and as they get older, the discussions become more nuanced and complex. Middle schoolers might debate the ethics of gene editing, while high schoolers grapple with the philosophical implications of artificial intelligence. It's all about scaffolding their understanding as they mature.
So it's not about throwing a bunch of sci-fi jargon at them and saying, figure it out. It's about guiding them through these big ideas in a way that's both intellectually stimulating and emotionally appropriate.
Right, and let's not forget, kids are already exposed to transhumanist themes through pop culture, movies, video games, you name it. They're already imagining these possibilities.
Yeah. Every kid has pretended to be a superhero with super strength or wished they could teleport this curriculum just gives them a framework for understanding the real science and ethics behind those fantasies.
It's about meeting them where they are and helping them develop the critical thinking skills they need to navigate a world where these fantasies are increasingly becoming reality.
All right, I'm convinced, but I know there's one more big objection lurking out there. The fear factor. Some people just find this whole transhumanist thing creepy, unsettling, even if it's based on science.
That's understandable. It challenges our fundamental understanding of what it means to be human. But the curriculum pushes back against that fear by emphasizing that transhumanism isn't about forcing anyone to become a cyborg or abandon their humanity.
It's about choice, right? Giving people the knowledge and agency to make informed decisions about how they want to interact with these technologies.
And it's about having open and honest conversations about the potential risks and benefits. Just because something makes us uncomfortable doesn't mean we should ignore it.
It's like we don't shy away from teaching kids about climate change just because it's a scary topic. We educate them so they can understand the challenges and be part of the solution.
Precisely. And in the case of transhumanism, ignoring these advancements won't make them go away. It's better to prepare future generations to engage with these issues thoughtfully and responsibly.
Okay, so we've addressed the religious concerns, the fear of overwhelming kids, and the ick factor. But I bet there's another layer to this, the worry that it's all just too radical, too far-fetched.
You're reading my mind. It's easy to dismiss transhumanism as science fiction, but history is full of examples of ideas that were once considered radical and are now commonplace.
Like, remember when the internet was just a bunch of nerds sending emails? Now it's hard to imagine life without it.
Exactly. The printing press, the telephone, the automobile, all of these inventions were met with resistance and skepticism at first.
People feared the unknown, worried about the consequences, and clung to familiar ways of doing things. But progress rarely moves in a straight line.
It's messy, unpredictable, and often requires us to step outside our comfort zones, and that's what this curriculum is asking us to embrace the possibility of a future that looks radically different from the present.
It's not about blindly accepting every aspect of transhumanism, but about being open to exploring the potential benefits and addressing the challenges head on.
And perhaps most importantly, it's about empowering the next generation to be active participants in shaping this future, not just passive recipients of whatever comes their way.
Okay, I'm starting to see the bigger picture here, but let's get down to brass tacks. If we actually start teaching this stuff in schools, what might it look like in a real classroom? I'm picturing kids building robots in kindergarten and having heated debates about AI rights in high school.
Well, it wouldn't be quite that dramatic, but you're right. The curriculum emphasizes hands-on learning and engaging discussions.
So what, like instead of dissecting frogs, they're dissecting algorithms?
Maybe not literally dissecting algorithms, but definitely exploring how they work and the impact they have on our lives.
And instead of just reading about history, they're imagining what the future of humanity might look like. Talk about making history come alive.
Exactly. It's about making these concepts tangible and relevant to their lives. For example, in primary school, they might design simple prosthetic limbs using 3D printers or learn to code basic AI programs.
That's way cooler than my macaroni art projects back in the day.
And in middle school, they might delve into bioethics through simulations or role-playing exercises, exploring the dilemmas of gene editing and personalized medicine.
Kind of like a choose-your-own-adventure for the future of humanity.
And by high school, they'd be ready to tackle more complex issues like the potential impact of artificial intelligence on the job market or the philosophical implications of mind uploading.
It's giving them the tools to not only understand the technology, but to think critically about its impact on society, the economy, and even their own sense of self.
Right. It's not just about teaching them what transhumanism is, but helping them develop the skills and perspectives they need to be active and informed citizens in a world increasingly shaped by these technologies.
So it's like we're not just preparing them for a future career, but for a future life. A life where the lines between human and machine are blurred, where lifespan might be extended indefinitely, and where the very definition of what it means to be human is constantly evolving.
And that brings us to a really crucial question. How do we equip teachers to handle all of this? It's not like they hand out PhDs in Transhumanism 101 at Teachers College.
Yeah, it's a lot to ask of educators who are already juggling a million things. How do we make sure they're not just throwing these concepts out there without the proper context and guidance?
The curriculum stresses the importance of professional development and ongoing support for teachers.
So not just a one-time crash course, but a continuous process of learning and adaptation.
Exactly. Teachers need access to up-to-date information about the latest advancements in fields like AI, biotechnology, and nanotechnology.
And they need to be comfortable discussing the ethical and philosophical implications of these technologies. That's a big ask.
It is, and it highlights the need for a shift in how we think about teacher training. It's not just about content knowledge anymore, but about developing the skills and confidence to facilitate complex discussions and help students grapple with these big questions.
So teachers become more like facilitators, guiding students through the uncharted waters of the future. I like that analogy.
And it's not just about the teachers. Parents and the wider community need to be involved in this conversation as well.
Right, because if this is going to be part of the curriculum, it can't just be happening in a vacuum. We need open dialogue and collaboration to make sure everyone is on board and feels comfortable with what their kids are learning.
And we need to be prepared to address concerns and answer questions in a way that's both informative and reassuring.
It's about building trust and understanding, not just dictating what people should believe or how they should feel about these advancements.
Absolutely. And that's where the real challenge lies, creating a space for open and respectful dialogue where different perspectives can be heard and considered.
Because ultimately, this isn't about imposing a transhumanist agenda. It's about empowering the next generation to make informed decisions about the future they want to create.
And it's about recognizing that the future of humanity is not something that simply happens to us. It's something we actively shape through our choices, our actions, and the way we educate our children.
Okay, so we've talked about the curriculum, the potential objections, and the role of teachers and parents. But let's zoom out for a moment and think about the bigger picture. What kind of impact could teaching transhumanism in schools have on society as a whole?
That's where things get really fascinating. We're talking about potentially shifting the entire cultural conversation around technology and human potential.
Like instead of fearing the rise of the machines, we're teaching kids to see technology as a tool for good, for solving problems, for expanding our capabilities.
Exactly, and it could have a ripple effect on everything from scientific research to the job market.
Imagine a generation of young people growing up with a deep understanding of AI, biotechnology, and nanotechnology. They'd be the ones driving innovation, pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
And not just in technical fields, think about the impact on healthcare, environmental sustainability, even art and entertainment. The possibilities are truly mind-boggling.
But with all this potential, there's also the risk of widening the gap between the haves and have-nots. What if only the wealthy can afford these enhancements? What if it creates a society of superhumans and ordinary humans?
It's a critical concern that we need to address from the outset. If we're going to teach transhumanism, we need to teach it alongside social justice and equity.
So it's not just about the science and technology, but about ensuring that these advancements benefit everyone, not just a privileged few.
Exactly, and that's why having diverse voices involved in shaping this curriculum is so important. We need to make sure it reflects a wide range of perspectives and addresses the potential social and ethical challenges head-on.
So it's not just about preparing kids for a future filled with cool gadgets and superpowers, but about helping them understand the complex implications of these technologies and their responsibility to use them wisely.
It's about fostering a sense of ethical awareness, social responsibility, and global citizenship. That's the kind of education that can truly prepare them for the future, whatever it may hold.
This has been an incredible deep dive. We've gone from dissecting robots to dissecting the very fabric of what it means to be human in a world on the cusp of radical transformation.
And I think the most important takeaway is that this is not just a conversation for scientists and tech experts, it's a conversation for everyone.
Because ultimately, the future of humanity is not something that happens to us. It's something we actively create through our choices, our actions, and the way we educate the next generation.
And by engaging with these ideas thoughtfully and critically, we can ensure that the future we create is one that benefits everyone, not just a select few.
So to our listeners, if you're feeling a mix of excitement, apprehension, and maybe even a little bit of existential dread, that's okay. It's a lot to process.
But don't shy away from the conversation. Read research, talk to people who have different perspectives.
Because the more informed we all are, the better equipped we'll be to make decisions about the kind of future we want to live in.
And remember, the future is not predetermined. It's a canvas waiting to be painted by our collective imagination, our ingenuity, and our commitment to creating a world that's just equitable and filled with possibility.
Okay, that's a beautiful thought to end on. But before we wrap up completely, let's shift gears and talk about something a little more concrete. What might a classroom actually look like in this new world of transhumanist education?
Yep.
All right, so we've explored like the why of teaching transhumanism.
Yeah.
But now I'm kind of curious about that how.
Yeah, okay.
What would a classroom actually look and sound like in this new world?
Well, for starters, I think we'd see a lot more blurring of the lines between traditional subjects.
Yep.
Transhumanism touches on biology, technology, philosophy, ethics. It's all connected.
So no more separate silos for science and humanities.
Right.
It'd be like one giant, mind-blowing smoothie of knowledge.
More like a
Good.
carefully crafted fusion dish. But yeah, the idea is to show students how these fields intersect.
Right.
Imagine a history class where they're not just learning about past revolutions,
Uh-huh.
but also debating what a transhumanist revolution might look like.
Whoa. And then in ethics class, they could grapple with the moral implications of extending human lifespans or
Right.
creating artificial consciousness.
Exactly.
That's deep stuff.
It is deep stuff.
And it wouldn't just be theoretical, right?
No, it would be very hands-on.
Hands-on learning would be crucial.
Absolutely.
Think about students designing prosthetic limbs using 3D printers
Yeah.
or building robots that can assist people with disabilities.
That's the kind of stuff we're talking about.
Okay, now you're talking my language.
It's going to be exciting.
That's way more exciting than memorizing equations or writing essays.
For sure.
It's like turning school into a real-life laboratory for the future.
And that's exactly the point. To give students the skills and knowledge they need to be active participants in shaping that future.
Okay, so the classrooms would be buzzing with activity.
Yeah.
But what about the teachers?
Oh, yeah.
They'd need a serious upgrade in their skill set to handle all of this, right?
Absolutely. Teacher training would be crucial, and it would go far beyond just understanding the technical aspects of transhumanism.
Okay.
They'd need to be well-versed in ethics, philosophy, and even psychology to guide students through these complex issues.
So teachers become more like mentors,
Yeah.
helping students develop their own critical thinking skills
Right.
and navigate the ethical dilemmas of a rapidly changing world.
Precisely. And it's not just about the teachers.
Right.
Parents and the wider community would need to be involved as well. This would require open dialogue, collaboration, and a willingness to embrace new ways of thinking.
Because let's face it, this is a paradigm shift in education.
It is.
And it's going to take a collective effort to make it work.
It will.
And to do it right, we need to acknowledge the potential downsides.
Yeah.
We've touched on the risk of exacerbating existing inequalities if access to these technologies isn't equitable.
That's right.
Yeah, the last thing we want is a society divided between the enhanced haves and the unenhanced have-nots.
Right.
That's a recipe for disaster.
Absolutely. Which is why it's so important to address those social justice concerns from the very beginning.
Okay.
This curriculum can't just be about the science. It needs to be about ensuring that these advancements benefit all of humanity.
So it's like we're weaving ethics and social responsibility into the very fabric of this new education system.
Exactly. It's about raising a generation that's not only technologically savvy,
Yeah.
but also ethically aware and committed to using these tools for good.
That's a powerful vision.
Yeah.
A future where technology empowers us to create a more just equitable and sustainable world.
And it all starts with education.
Yeah.
By giving young people the knowledge, the skills, and the ethical framework to navigate this new landscape,
Right.
we can help them become the architects of a truly transformative future.
This deep dive has been a wild ride, from dissecting robots in the classroom to grappling with the philosophical implications of mind uploading.
It has been quite a journey.
It's been a journey through the exciting and sometimes unsettling possibilities of a world on the verge of profound change.
A lot to think about.
But ultimately, I think it leaves us with a sense of hope. A hope that by embracing these challenges thoughtfully and responsibly,
Yeah,
we can create a future that's better than anything we can imagine today,
I think so too.
and a future where humanity thrives, not in spite of technology, but because of it.
Absolutely.
So to our listeners out there, we encourage you to keep exploring these ideas, to ask questions, to challenge assumptions, and to be part of the conversation that's shaping the future of our species.
It's an important conversation to have.
Because the future is not something that happens to us, it's something we create together.
I completely agree.
And that's a wrap on this deep dive into transhumanism in education. Thanks for joining us.